In 2014, Steven Soderbergh uploaded his Raiders cut, where he took Raiders of the Lost Ark, desaturated the footage, removed the dialogue, and replaced the soundtrack with the electronic scores from The Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And he did this as an educational study in movement and staging, because Soderbergh believes that every film should work with the sound off. So today, I want to take those same principles and apply them to another groundbreaking 80s film, because when you remove the color and that iconic score, you're left with only Zemeckis and Cundy's artistic direction, how a shot is framed, what the rules of movement are, and what the cutting patterns are. And by just using these elements, we're still able to interpret the dynamic of every scene.
What about this scene? What in it? What in the characters? What must the audience experience? And then you find a way to do that interestingly or with some kind of style.
A perfect example of this style is the way characters interact with each other. If a character is hesitant, they're almost always trying to leave the frame or being dragged through it. And the character trying to convince them of something is either chasing them down or pulling them in. It can also be seen in conversations between characters, where every point of change is accompanied by a complementary visual move. If two characters are walking side by side and one gets a new piece of information that gives them pause, they suddenly turn back to pace the other way, pulling the other character with them as they try to keep up physically and with the train of thought. And during these movements, their positioning, close or far from the camera, deliberately directs our attention.
You get to be closer when the importance is there, the emphasis. You're wider when the audience is supposed to see something, You're directing their attention in each case with composition, the camera movement, and so forth.
A great example is this scene when Marty and Doc are discussing how to send him back. We start with Doc and Marty on an equal playing field, so both are sitting at the same level and at the same distance, with Marty revealing he has information crucial to the scene, causing him to stand up and move closer to the camera. But once he reveals it, Doc stands, putting them both back on the same level. And once he gains control, he moves closer to the camera and Marty moves back and sits down. A similar technique is used in this scene when the DeLorean first goes back in time. Doc celebrates in the background while we focus on Marty's disbelieving face. But once the shock wears off and they start to see eye to eye, they move back to be on the same level again.
These guys, you could choreograph this dance for the camera, and they would find a way to execute it and make it look like it was supposed to be.
This level of choreography was key, because the movement of the camera and the timing of the actors always had to be in sync with one another. Like here, where the camera pans to frame Biff on the other side of George, allowing us to see him casually push this person, giving Marty enough space to trip him. Or here, where the camera pulls back to follow Lorraine and perfectly frames Doc's reaction. And even better, this scene highlights just how efficient Cundy is in his shot selection. Like many of the exposition-heavy scenes in the film, Cundy opts for a long take here, with Doc moving in and out of frame as he delivers information, leaving us to once again focus on Marty's reaction.
That's the most fun of it, is to not set up a wide shot and then not say, well, and then I'll go into close-ups or over shoulders or medium two-shot. But how do you choreograph it so the audience gets that variety of shots?
And that variety doesn't always come slow. Cundy paces his cuts appropriately for the situation. If the scene relies on exposition, then we linger on the reaction of the characters who hear the information. But during an action scene, we get fast cuts to illustrate the tension. During this chase scene, we get a medium shot, a close-up on the car, and a wide shot all within 3 seconds. And by the time Marty launches off the curb 20 seconds later, there have been a whopping 15 individual cuts. And the moment the tension of the chase ends, the pacing immediately follows suit. There are so many elements to this film that make it an all-time classic, like its tight script or its unforgettable score. But I think what I love most is that even with those elements removed, the story can still be told to us simply through the blocking and the staging. So next time you're watching a film, put it on mute and see if you can still follow the dynamics of the scene, because you might just see some serious shit.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.